News. I am your host, Professor Tuck. And tonight, what we're going to be talking about is, are we heading down the road to a collapse, and is it being orchestrated? This is something that I'm outlining in the 5 videos that I am doing. I hope I made this public. Huh. I think I made this public. We'll find out in a couple minutes. If I didn't, I will. Um, I will definitely, yeah. But usually it takes a couple minutes. Okay, now we got people coming in. All right, just making sure, because sometimes when I do the public-private thing, sometimes I forget. Like, did I change it? Because I gotta be cautious about it, but sometimes I'm not. But anyways, all right. Looks like we got people in here. All right, with this being said, there are some things that, okay, so the whole thing behind kitchen table news versus your typical news is like, sometimes when you're sitting at the kitchen table, you share different parts of news that you've learned. Like, hey, did you hear about this? For example, Donald Trump has now directed Hegseth to work with, I believe it's Pam Bondi, that is the DOJ, to figure out how to be able to circumvent the Constitution to start to use the military and the police against the people. Why are they doing this? That's going to be something that we're going to be talking about today. Hold on one second. That's something that we're going to be talking about today, on top of Donald Trump, we already know, has told the DOJ to start looking at ways of using the Justice Department as a way to put the homeless into camps by using the law as a way to be able to do it. So we have a lot of this stuff being set. Why is this being set? Because we're going into a collapse, whether we want to or not. It's kind of like when you realize you made a fatal mistake when you should have turned to hit the instead of hitting the iceberg. No, excuse me. It's kind of like the Titanic. It turned to avoid the iceberg instead of going straight forward into it, which would have actually saved it, if I remember the way that they explained it right. Um, yes, I got one more packet left, Beth. But anyways, this is that moment where he turned when he should have just kept going straight forward. And now the American economy is going to pay a price that no one is prepared for. So they've got 90 days to prepare the Pentagon, the Department of Defense, and the and the Department of Justice to be able to deal with this mass influx of not only homelessness, but this mass, it's all going to come apart really, really quick, because you've got you've got now they're saying 60% of container ships showing up on the West Coast are down. Well, they're down by 60%. And so you have the whole trade route that was coming from Asia coming here to the United States. That whole trade route pretty much has been completely demolished, at least 60% of it, because we're closing out the uh, we're closing out the trade with most of the world. And instead of being able to bring our allies closer to us and to be able to corral China, we have turned against our friends and our foes, and put us into a point where we are on the verge of an economic collapse. You could say it's orchestrated or not. Today, or excuse me, this week, I've got a 5 video series. Today was the first of the 5 videos where we talk a little bit about the history of America's always been at war with the central bankers. That is really where our fight begins with the American Revolution. And I'm giving a historical account so that when I start explaining things, you have a decent enough background to at least understand what I'm talking about, so it doesn't seem so foreign to you, because it just seems like a logical sequence of events if you really watch it unfold, if you take emotion out of it. And this is something that I'm outlining. So for this week, also on Kitchen Table News, what we're going to do is we're going to be discussing different topics, whether it be how to circumvent what's coming, how to be able to adjust your lifestyle to what's coming, and things like that. Now, I learned a lot of this stuff I've learned over the last 15, 20 years. And now I'm basically doing a full on brain dump of everything that I know about American financial history and American legal history, as far as a timeline to kind of help you understand how we got where we were to where we are, and who's been pulling the strings the whole time. Because as we discussed this morning on Patreon, as we discussed this morning on Patreon, um, we're being groomed, we're being our genetic different, or our, excuse me, the things that are our genetic instincts that are embedded in us are being used against us to force us to react and move in certain directions. So it's not even like you're a lemming, because you're not. There are certain defense mechanisms, like I talked about the fear of loss. And so, there are certain defense mechanisms or certain things that are instinctually ingrained into you because of genetics and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, that you have, that you have these specific reactions. And so therefore that you're being manipulated in a way that where you don't realize it, but everything you see, everything you do, everything you read is pushing you towards a specific direction, whether it be, East versus West war, whether it be the United States versus China, whether it be the United States versus Russia, whether it be Israel, Iran. All of this stuff is being orchestrated at such a level that it's so it's so subtle that nobody really sees that we're being pushed in this specific direction. So my basic understanding, using deductive reasoning, not only with the research that I've done recently, but with the research that I've done over the last 15 years on this subject, I can now not only paint the picture but show the end game, which is the one thing I didn't have, which is something that I'm recently getting. And this is something that you as an individual should definitely take heed to, because this will kind of give you a bird's eye view of what's really going on in the world, and how not only you're being lied to, but you're being manipulated in a specific way to move in specific directions. You can choose to enlighten yourself, or you can choose not to. Now, as somebody who studied this, who not only questioned it, but then went out and applied it, I'm going to give you some tips that I know that will help you. Now, these are things that will keep you legal and legit while still giving you your autonomy and your freedom. Okay. There is a legal term, go look it up. It's called in persona conjuncta. It is, what it means is it's Latin for persons conjoined, or basically the law of oneness, if you really want to bring it down to universal law. Okay. And so therefore, when you have a corporation, whether it be an LLC, a C corp, an S corp, it doesn't matter what your organization is. When you've got that set up, you've got the organization, and then you got you. But as the head of the organization, you act as the organization. So therefore, instead of using your individual person to operate in the public, you're using your corporation. Okay. And so therefore you use that as a shield between you and the public. And so this is something that you as an individual might want to think about doing as a way to be able to do business in the future. Because as artificial intelligence automates the workforce, as robotics starts to take over manufacturing and other things, the average job that you and I are used to will not be around for much longer. 3 to 5 years is all you got. So either you retool yourself now, or retool yourself when you're forced to and your back is against the wall. Your choice is when you react. not the reaction that you have to do. Because in order to survive, you must evolve with the situation. And evolving with the situation means that you're going to have to learn to adapt in more of a dystopian tech world. With Starlink, the internet will not necessarily ever go down 100%. It may go down in certain areas. Cell phones may go down, but the satellites, if you've got connection to those satellites, if you notice Verizon starting to get connected, T-Mobile was part of funding the Starlink program, the upgrade to be able to allow cell phones to be able to do this. So is the internet going to ever go 100% down, even if they do an EMP? Your electronic devices may go down, but if you are able to protect your electronic devices and connect to a satellite, therefore you are able to still maintain in the digital world. If your typical job is automated by either artificial intelligence or advanced robotics, your only way to make money is through the digital economy. That is what's being created, and it's being created as a form of control. But do you want to operate autonomously, or do you want to operate directly? And if you operate directly, as in your person, then you're opening yourself up to multiple vulnerabilities in the situation. Versus operating behind a corporation or an LLC gives you the opportunity to not only put that barrier, but that's going to be your public entity. That is going to be the iris scan. That is going to be the where all of your digital data is stored. So therefore it's stored against the company and the company's data versus what it is that you do. And so therefore you have the ability to be able to play in the system without necessarily having to submit to the system. These are different loopholes. This is why the corporation that changed in the 1870s with with the corporate mandate being changed, it allows you to be able to do this. It sets the stage for this. So either you look at it and go, these people are crooks, or realize these people are using certain tools, and if I use them in a correct way, therefore I can use them to preserve myself moving forward. Okay. So that's one of the things you're also going to want to work on. The other thing that you're going to want to work on is tech. If you're going to work in the digital realm, whether you like to or not, whether you want to or not, you're going to have to operate digitally. What is probably one of the most secure plus cost-effective ways to be able to do it is Linux. For the same HP Omen that I purchased for, well, because my old man is is retired military, I go through AFI, so I don't have to pay as much. Like it would have been like $2,200 if I would have bought it publicly, but because I got it through AFIS, it was like 17. But a Lenovo gaming piece laptop that had the same specs as that Omen would have cost me about $1,100 versus the $2,200 that I would have paid for a Windows machine. And not only that, Linux is more secure. If you take the opportunity to kind of learn it, you will have the ability to not only operate securely online, but operate knowing that you have complete control, because they're using Windows and they're using Apple because those are mainstream. That's what everybody else is on. That's what everybody else is using. If you're using Linux, you're kind of an outsider because it's such a small portion that they're not really gearing anything for those platforms. What do you mean? Excuse me, sound check. Okay, what's up, Edward? Timberland Starlink collaboration now for Verizon has satellite support. Yes. If I need to, I can go out and point my cell phone towards the satellite. I already know where it's in that direction. I already did it. In persona conjuncta, CTA. What's up, Kung Fu? What's up, Occult? What's up, everybody? Matthew, nice to see you. Thank you. Or sweet miss. Yeah. Okay. Having tea. No, I'm having hot cocoa. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I needed to get that out before I really went too far. But but I got some good news for you guys. For those of you that have stuck around this long. Open air properties has now become an official sponsor of the Epoch of Friar Tuck. So now I have my first sponsor. I want to say thank you to all of you who welcomed Stephanie, very welcomed her to the channel when we did the live stream, and those of you that have reached out to her and worked with her. Thank you very much, because you guys, everybody made this possible. And I want to make sure that, we're bringing value to her in the same way that she's bringing value to me. Because this is going to allow me a little bit more autonomy to be able to start doing some more projects around here, such as getting my roof fixed. Because as you see, well, let's see, you can't really see. You see, I got the tarp up. I didn't even need a ladder. I was able to figure out how to do it without a ladder. But Stephanie at Open Air Properties has now decided to start sponsoring. So when you start seeing the stuff that's sponsored content, understand that she, and there will be others. Now, there's one great thing about this, and as a content creator, one thing that you should always be thoughtful of is you got to make sure that you trust the person enough that that they're not going to say anything to tarnish your name, and you're not going to say anything to tarnish their name, because everybody needs a symbiotic relationship. So it's really nice to know that she's part of the community, and she's been a great part of this community for a while. And so she's already, well versed, and she loves the stuff that we do here. So not only does she sponsor, but she's also a very big participating member in the community. So as you guys see her pop in from time to time, make sure to say hi for her. Yes, it was signed. It was signed earlier this afternoon. That was one of my appointments today. So I had one appointment with with Homeless Entrepreneur, and then I had my second appointment with her. So yeah, it's really good. So it means that it's nice to know that there is people out there that do believe in this enough to make sure that it keeps going. Because what does this mean? Thank you, Kung Fu. Thanks, Beth. Okay, openairproperties.net, openairproperties.net sponsoring the Epoch of Friar Tuck. Yes, congratulations, Stephanie. Yes, thanks. Thank you, Matthew. So every one of you guys has been a big part of this. And so, what's up, Carlos? It has been a big part of this. Yeah, dude. This. Okay, so here's the thing that always happens. Okay, part of the reason why I stuck to the homeless and I kind of stayed away from prepping and I kind of stayed away from current events was because I when I first started way back in like 2011, 2010, I started blogging. I mean, I used to sit back and it used to take me a day to put out an article. I was putting out an article a day, plus, everything else. I was doing it while I was collecting unemployment, hoping that it would turn into something much bigger. But as I started getting along, and as I started doing my research, and as I started digging into a lot of this stuff and going, holy cow, look, and I started writing about it, my wife, well, which would soon become my ex-wife, comes up to me and she's like, look, we got a kid. You're saying stuff, and yeah, I know it's true, and it's much scarier than I thought, but here's the thing. I'm more worried about the guys in black suits kicking down our door, and we end up in a place we don't want to end up in. So because she asked me to, I stopped talking about it. And as I get going along, I've tried other types where I did a radio show, and eventually what happened is people liked hearing that stuff, so I started talking more and more about it. And it just I've always kind of, once I start getting into current events, I start sharing this stuff. But the way that social media and the way that the AI algorithm is working in all facets, which we will be talking about in this 5-video series that I'm doing this week. First video was released this morning. As we get to as we go down this, you're going to see how the things that you're being shown in the For You page is company approved information to lead you down the road to say that this is fact. And so therefore they're shaping the narrative, they're shaping the information. So anybody that talks out and dissents against it will therefore not get shown, not get not hey, what's up, Joanna? Not get shown, not get any type of traction, even if it would resonate with a large group of people, because people are hungry for not only the truth, but to have a better explanation, or maybe even call it an alternative theory to what's going on than what they're being told. And so people crave this so much that the algorithm is making sure not to serve it up to you, but to serve you just a small amount, that it satisfies you and makes you think that you know something when in reality you don't. If Up until about 2015 is kind of when all of that started to really change, because that's not only when the internet took off, but when smartphones started to take off, and when a lot of technology became really big and the infrastructure started getting set up. Okay, but this could even go back as far as the creation of the internet, because everything goes through a proxy server essentially. And the original use of a proxy server was so that it would cut down on lag time to be able to load a page. It would preload the page on the server, so that it would just do a quick relay versus having to go to the site, download the page, then send it to you. So therefore it was quick. But then what they did is they started realizing that they could decide which websites you could see and which websites you can't. And every single piece of data that goes through the internet has to go through the American proxy servers and so therefore if they decide that this website's good and this website's not, you can be completely taken down and not even knowing about it, nor be able to have any type of recourse. And so um this is kind of the dystopian society that we're going through. I've learned a lot of different ways to be able to survive what's coming in different facets, but most of it starts up here. Okay, so but anyways, you guys have questions about this? I'd love to see them. I'm open for questions. Mm. Oh, if you want this cup, it's down in the description. Mm. Yeah, we just got a whole bunch of rain here. It was pretty bad. Yeah, Rebel good. All right. Mm. Um. Okay. Let's see here. All right. But so, what is this gonna mean? What is this gonna mean for me moving forward, and as far as like how I'm going to start putting out information? This gives me the um. This gives me the freedom and the latitude to focus. I still gotta focus on YouTube. YouTube will never go away. It's always going to be a big part of what I do. But instead of having, okay, so I got my first big client was like 60% of my business when I had my janitorial business. They were paying me like 3,700 dollars a month to be able to do daily cleaning 7 days a week. And and we were doing it for them dirt cheap too. But anyways, they were 60%. If they all of a sudden decided to go away or something happened to them, and I didn't have my portfolio diversified as far as the level of work that I had, then when they went away, it could have completely sunk my business. And with what YouTube is doing, in the same way that Donald Trump is doing what he's doing with with the trade war, instead of creating the result that they want, which is people happily going, "Yay, I want to comply." Instead, they're going, "No, this is an overreach," and so therefore they're going to start pushing back. And so instead of creating an environment where they can be able to gain control by making you feel good, now what they're doing is they're just coming out and blatantly being like, yeah, you can say this, you can't say that, so on and so forth, until you are until you're completely indoctrinated. It's a pretty place, Joanna. I live along the coast. Oh, okay. um and yeah, but anyways, uh okay. Yes, next to last. Yes, that is definitely correct. Uh, But is this because Beth, you said I lost you a little bit ago. How did I lose you? And what is it that you need to understand? Mm, nothing like a good cup of hot cocoa. Only thing better than a Coke and a Toke. Um, okay, let's field trip there. Okay. Um, all right, let's see. You okay, so I lost you with the in persona conjuncta. Is that where I lost you? Persons conjoined operating behind your corporation. Okay, so let me give you a real world example of how I actually did it. Just find the North Star, Edward. Um, okay, let's let's talk about a real world experience how I applied this. Okay, so I had a company. Um, I named it SNG Creditor Solutions LLC, and that's how I learned how important the naming convention is because people thought that I was a lending institution, and SNG stood for shits and giggles because I was just having fun. I wanted to apply what I was learning, and I wanted to see if it was true or not, and if it was, what made it true, and if it wasn't, what where was I wrong? And and so I created this LLC. I no longer operated under my legal name. I was operating behind an LLC for 10 years because if I wanted credit, I would have to use my legal name. So I never went and got credit. I learned how to run something off of zero funds. Okay. And so therefore I created it and therefore I operated behind it. So anything I went to go do in the public was in the name of S&G Creditor Solutions LLC. Okay. But anyways, so therefore, after almost 10 years of being outside of the system, they almost completely erased my credit. My credit went from being really bad when I went into it to it came out as really good when I finally re-entered the public, right around the time that my business was about to close down. uh, that's I started getting all kinds of good credit offers. I'm like, man, I ain't never seen any good offers like this. But I had the income because I had the business behind me. Plus that 9 years of being outside of the system, that cleaned up my credit enough, and so on and so forth. But the thing is I'd been completely dormant. If you go 10 years without working in the system, then they consider you deceased. That is something that I've heard from other people who have gone the process. Is that, yeah, if you stop operating for more than 10 years, they will declare you deceased because there's nothing that you're doing. So therefore, they think that you don't exist anymore. But this is how you operate. And the thing is that a corporation has more rights than you and I do. And so therefore, if you're operating under the umbrella of your LLC, you now have more rights, more standing, and also more clout within the community that it will play not only to your benefit, but it will also offer you forms of protection because they're not coming after you, they're coming after your LLC. And if they take everything that the LLC has, okay, so this is where trusts start coming in. And so therefore the LLC is a trustee of a holding trust, and then that holding trust has another piece of land that's another trust. So therefore, if they're trying to go through and take it from you, they have to pierce two trusts plus take out the LLC. So therefore, them to be able to get to it, what you're doing is kind of like what the Chinese are doing, which is area denial. You know that the Americans are coming with overwhelming force. So how do you stop them? You make it to such a slow grind that it makes it unattractive to them, to where they don't really want to go after you unless it's really, really serious. And so if you operate within the confines of the corporate law, then you are able to operate autonomously because everything that you do is for a corporation. So therefore you put your property in a holding trust. And in that holding trust, and I'm not a lawyer, nor do not take any legal advice from me. I'm telling you what I know, what I've experienced, what I've done. So you could put it in a holding trust, Yeah, you put it in a holding trust, and therefore you put yourself as a beneficiary. Now everything is documented by the trustee. The trustee has, rights of privacy, stuff like that. They don't have to disclose information. They just have to disclose, I've got one beneficiary, and so on and so forth. And so therefore you create this network where you own nothing, and you're absolutely happy because your corporation owns everything, and therefore you benefit from it because you get to reap the rewards. And you might want to talk to a tax accountant about the tax implications of what you're doing. It may benefit you, but because the thing is if you're always showing a loss, therefore you get money back. Mm. See, feelings aren't facts. This is how the rich do it. Not offering legal advice. No, I actually have to be very careful on what I say, because if people think that I'm a lawyer, I could get into a lot of legal trouble. I am not a lawyer. I did not pass the bar exam. I would never want to. I actually wanted to become a constitutional lawyer, but I will, now that I kind of understand the loyalties of a lawyer, whether they realize their loyalties or not. Um, I I will never. Yeah, I'm glad I never went and did that. I'm glad I never went and got my law degree and my legal license, because what I've learned privately and applied in the legal forum is things that I would have never learned if I would have went and got spoon fed by the system. And that's why so many people have a hard time understanding what's going on, is because the system decides what education you get. You have a choice. Either you go find your own knowledge and you go and you question everything, or you take what's given to you, spoon fed to you. It's fact. And so therefore don't fact check it. It's kind of like, don't look at the man behind the curtain. Okay. And so those are the choices you have in life. Even Mark Twain said this: you have two types of education. You have your schooling, and then you've got life. Uh, uh, I'm not a medical professional. I'm not. Only play one on YouTube. Okay, you could potentially borrow against your property tax free. Ask an accountant. No, yeah, have to pay for all that malpractice insurance and such. Just your opinions. Yes, the instead of Beth's opinion, this is Tuck's opinion. Beth, I love every time you say that. That's funny. You started saying that when I started talking about social media. Um, mm, um, but yeah, as far as how are you going to operate, you operate under that. But then again, that requires that you remain in the digital realm. So therefore, having a Linux machine is going to be important for you, because you're going to want to be able to connect to a satellite, to be able to do internet, to be able to do business, so that you can fund your off-grid life. So therefore, you are able to have the freedom and the autonomy of being free, because you are within the okay, so when I get this set up, because now that Open Air Properties is sponsoring this channel, one of the things I've got to do within the next 90 days, it's got to be done, is that I need to create an LLC around it. And any future deals are going to have to be under the LLC, because then as the land gets transferred over to me, after I'm done with what I'm doing, then then I can transfer over into the LLC, or excuse me, I can transfer over into a trust and set up a trust that the LLC runs. And if I set up the trust without the jurisdictional boundaries of the United States, which you have the ability to do because all boundaries are fictional, therefore I would be able to have it. They would have to go through a whole different set of means to be able to come and take my land from me. And as my LLC, that is the trustee that is operating it for my benefit, it, it it's not even, it doesn't even get to claim it as an asset, so therefore it's protected. If somebody comes after your LLC, it just means you have to recreate a new trustee. Okay, therefore it protects your land, protects your property, But also, this is how like the Rothschilds are able to hide so much money, is because it's all in trust. It's not part of their net wealth. It's part of what pays them, and they get all this money every month that therefore they're able to live off of. And they're living in a house that's owned by a trust, so therefore it's not their asset, and it looks like they're just living for free, when in reality this is kind of how you manage things, not only for liability reasons, but just for functionality. Because let's say you want to create a perpetual trust, that's something that gets handed down from generation to generation. You want to make sure that you at least put someone in charge of the company that will be the trustee, so therefore your family members don't run it into the ground, which is kind of why my family lost all of its wealth on my mom's side, is because all of my aunts, they were my grandfather started 5 businesses, gave one to each of my aunts and two to his firstborn. um and uh and they all ran him into the ground. Their husbands ran him into the ground. And so instead of being able to pass along generational wealth by giving them something to be able to stand with, they're it all got ran into the ground. And so by the time my grandfather passed away, there was $40,000 left, and he was a multimillionaire in his lifetime, before millionaire was like a common thing. He's been a millionaire since the 70s. But this is how you not only protect generational wealth, but make sure that it's properly managed moving forward. Okay. But yeah, I hope you guys learned something from here. Okay, because if you guys really want to understand, the behind the scenes stuff, like the stuff that I can't say out here, and I'm even starting to say stuff that I probably should kind of start toning back a little bit as far as what I say, because I don't need to be throttled back, but the community that's around me and the new ones that come around, I need your help in keeping the lights on and stuff like that. Because as I talk about these subjects more and more, um, I'm going to have to pay a financial penalty. And so either I submit to the tech overlords in order for my own survival, or I have support from my community that values the truth over a free piece of content. Okay, so for those of you that have not come over to Patreon, I'd hope that you would consider it. By the way, we have a contest, a viewer contest. This is viewer sponsored. This is kind of how I raise money to be able to make sure to get my projects off the ground. Right now, we're raising money to be able to fix my roof. Actually, yeah, because this month I'm gonna have my garden stuff taken care of. So you guys helped me last month, so now we got the garden because that was a big priority. Next priority is the roof. So the raffle, it works this way. If you want in the raffle, um, it's either a $5 super chat, or come on over and get a membership. On Patreon, you get double tickets for membership. So a Rebel Watcher, you get 2 tickets. Digital Homesteader, you get like 4 tickets. So this is something that you can do to kind of like stack up in the raffle. All right, so those are the ways in which you can do it. Also, here on YouTube, there's a membership that also comes with 1 ticket. For first prize, what we're going to do this month is the shirt. It's the lead dog shirt. So if you want to see what it looks like, you got to go down in the description. There is my TeePublic store. If you look at the one that has Sam's butt on it, that is the lead dog, because it shows the back of it, never the front of it. But anyways, the lead dog shirt is going to be what first prize is. Second prize is going to be Inner Circle membership, and third prize is going to be Digital Homesteader membership. And let's see, look at the advertisements before I can click on the video. Congratulations. Well, yeah, thank you, Sam. But yes, but anyways, we have 2 entries already. Matt the cat has 1 ticket. Blade Obsession has 2 tickets. We need a lot more entries in here to make this to keep this going, guys. Because like the shirt I got to pay for out of pocket, but the memberships I don't have to. So in order to do this, we need to keep the shirt thing going. I need to raise at least $50 a month for that to be able to offset the cost, because it's like, yeah, it's going to cost me that much just to be able to get the shirt. So um especially with like the processing and all that other stuff. So anyways, Sam, hey, what's up? What's up, Chris? Nice to see you. But that's kind of where everything's going and stuff like that. Did you guys did you guys learn anything from this that you can actually make actionable in your life for your preparations? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. I will be shopping merch. Yes. Yeah, yeah, I haven't had anybody buy a shirt off it yet, but okay. So one, Beth, you learned some stuff. What about the rest of you? Did you guys learn anything from any of this? Are you able to apply it to your overall prepping repertoire? Okay. Yeah, I know, Chris. One, okay. So now you kind of know how to operate in a cult. I know for you, you're probably going to really want to use this, especially if you want to kind of stay anonymous. This is, it doesn't cost much. It costs like 70. Well, I think here in Arizona, I think it's like 50 or $75. It's really inexpensive to to file, because usually I'm used to 100 to $150 to file an LLC. But here in Arizona, it's really inexpensive. I'm really shocked by the low cost. It was like, I think it was like 50 or $75. It was under 100 for sure. But yeah, and now I got to figure out a name for it. Um, I think I want to call it Tuck Productions. Type 1 if you think that's good. Type 2 if you think I should probably try something else. It's just going to be a conglomerate that all of my media is under, and stuff like that. I'm just going to call it Tuck Productions. I want to know more specifics about how this transition to digital money will happen, how much to hold at home in cash and such. One, okay. Um, how much to hold at home in cash? Well, here's the thing. Um, you can't spend cash if they go to digital money. Having cash under your mattress isn't going to help. Because because when you want to go do business, unless you're doing private business, but then that cash becomes outside, it's useless unless it's a black market currency, and that it has to be adopted by the black market, because they have their own way of doing things. And so if cash money is not going to be allowed to exist in the dollar, because they've got the digital dollar, either they're going to have to figure out a new way around it for the black market, or cash isn't going to work, and you're going to have to use other things like gems and metals and other stones and other barterable items to be able to get what you want, if you are trying to operate outside the system, which means you can go get your food on digital credits. But when you decide you want a piece of tech that is really like outlawed or something like that, you got to come to barter with it. Like, what do you have in trade that person wants? And so therefore you'll have to, you oh, what's the name of that? Think of it like this: you're going to be trading batteries, headphones, charging blocks, power cables, things like that. Certain electronics that are hard, that are I don't know, easily to be tradable because everybody uses them. They're in high demand, and therefore you can trade. And so therefore it's going to become kind of like dickering back and forth. So your main thing, you're going to want to focus more on tradable items, whether it be gems, whether it be stones, whether it be metals. You just got to have stuff that's in small enough denominations. So, for example, I would probably do like 1/10 or 1/20th ounces of gold, and one tenth ounces of silver, and little bars if you can get them in that small, because that's kind of what your transactions will be. is it will be in something that cannot be tracked. And so therefore they may say, hey, gold and silver only. You got to go buy gold and silver. And then, but the thing is, that's trackable if you have to use public credits to go buy that gold. And so therefore, if you want to remain anonymous, you're going to have to really learn how to maneuver within the black market. So why do people say cash is king? Cash is not, it does not literally paper money anymore from now on. Cash is king is because, like when I ran my business, the IRS already account says that 15% of my transactions will be off books, and so therefore they adjust my tax rate for the expected um, circumventing of the tax code. So they already work it into the taxes that you're already going to cheat on your taxes, and so therefore what they're doing is encouraging you to have cash transactions. Once they take that out, as far as the cash element, then therefore they have an exact accounting, and therefore they're not going to do any rounding. They're just going to give you an exact tax because it's all there. Now they may start seeing what's going on in the black market and probably add a tax on there, but they're going to be trying to cut it down in a lot of ways, because therefore it's competition and it's outside of their control purview. They may allow certain things to exist, but not a lot of things, because anything that takes away from their control, because this is all about control. The economy is being collapsed. America's being destroyed because foreign interests want control, not just over us, but over the whole world. Okay. Hey, what's up, Craig? Okay. Okay. Why do, like I said, always create the problems that they want credit for solving? Yes, that is very true. Okay. No longer paper money, like starting when. If we, okay. Uh, let's say that this trade war leads to a mass economic downturn, which leads to extreme homelessness, which therefore tanks the bond market, and the dollar has hyperinflation. So once you have that in place, now the crisis is set up so that they can go, hey, guess what? We've got this. This is how we're going to fix it so that we can control the currency so that it doesn't get out of control. And if something happens, we can just kind of like exit money off the books to keep the currency stable. And we'll do this because it's good for everybody. It's a stable economy, but there's still going to be boom and bust, because you have to have a boom and bust in order for the elites to fleece the guys trying to crawl out of the shithole that they're coming from. And you're going to have that overall control. This would be a perfect opportunity to institute the CBDC, and there are plenty of experts that have even said this over time, is that this is what they're looking at doing. Okay. How good is silver or gold coins? I mean, you'd probably be doing really good, Craig, if you had silver or gold, because that will be the new cash is king. Because you got to look at if the dollar no longer exists, what is the next currency that is going to be the high value currency, the reserve currency? And BRICS is making its own currency, and this could lead to a whole global digital dollar, essentially a digital currency. And with WorldCom and ChatGPT and artificial intelligence, and Doge just went and instituted AI governance within the federal government under our noses, while we're sitting there talking about how everybody else is doing it. That we weren't even talking about how it got implemented here in the United States under Doge, because what Elon Musk did is he brought it in, and he helped build the database that the Department of Homeland Security needs for not only the illegals but for dissenters as well. And so therefore we've already got AI being used not only in the military but by policing forces as a way to be able to combat what they deem as criminal activity. So seems to be the direction we are heading. Blockchain has its own own problems. And I can't talk about it because I know stuff I'm not supposed to know. So I'll just say blockchain has its own problems. And if the government decides to do that, it probably won't end well. But, you know, yeah, but I can't really talk about what I know about blockchain. But I can tell you that don't trust it. Don't trust it. Yeah, don't trust it. That's just the easiest thing. It's not about when, it's about how. And so don't trust it. It's not going to work out. And that's probably the end of what I'll say about it. Where are my there it is. All right. You guys didn't expect to hear that one, did you? Yeah. Did you know that Anonymous is actually a government hacker group? How many of you guys knew that Anonymous was actually an agent of the United States government? I'm just curious. I found this out. A couple years ago, from somebody that knew some stuff, and I'll just leave it at that. But I'm just curious. Did you know that it was actually a government entity? It's probably formed under the counterintelligence program, the COINTELPRO. That'll be talked about tomorrow, though. That's one thing. All right. Okay, no, didn't know that, Tuck. Okay, yeah. Can't eat blockchain, can't put food in your bellies. Well, here's the thing. Okay, so you guys remember in Georgia when they had that big case where the guy had this big old legal hoopla because he handed a tomato over the fence to his neighbor? There was a big old hoopla. He violated ordinances and laws. And what they were really saying, what people didn't pick up on, is that places like what's the ones that the Bushes own, United Fruit Company, and those types of the big companies, they don't want competition. So if you grow your own food, that's competition. And so therefore, if you grow your own food, they're going to penalize you. If you give your food away because you legally cannot sell it without all these licensing, otherwise you face legal liabilities, which is kind of what they're going after the Amish using. Although the Amish aren't governed by the United States because they're outside of the United States. They're their own little country in a way. Okay, that's why they can do what they're doing. Just like the Indians have their reservation, that's kind of what the Amish have. With 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 growing your own food and giving it away, therefore you become a threat to the system because some company isn't able to charge a higher price to get a higher premium, to get more of a profit line increase, to show their shareholders, because their corporate mandate is for profit only, strictly for profit. So if it's strictly for profit, and therefore they see you giving something away for free as as competition with their profit margin and their profits system, therefore they're going to use legislation to stop it out. Well, now what they can do with a digital currency and with artificial intelligence, especially as being the backbone of our government, especially Homeland Security, is now they can track this as dissidents, and they can spin it in the media as these are rebels, these are dissidents, these are people who are criminals to the society. They broke the law. Well, what was the law that they broke? Nobody's going to ask that question. They're just going to parade him in front of the news as someone who broke the law because of what he was doing. And people will automatically assume, well, he must have done something wrong with that food for him to be able to do it. So therefore, it acts as a deterrent to a lot of people, and those that want to be able to use that food within their community are now put in a position where they're now criminalized for doing it. Oh, good night, Bucknut. All right, two. Okay. A loaf of bread, bought a bag of gold, something like that. Yeah. But I mean, that's kind of the end all be all of what's going on with the, like if you really want to understand, um, where I'm coming from. But yeah, as I start talking about this stuff, either I have two choices. Either I have to let the tech gurus, the tech gods be my master, or I let my audience be my master. You guys are stepping up, but I need you to step up just a little bit more for those of you that can. I understand things may get tough. But there, if I'm offering valuable enough information to help you circumvent what's going on, um, I hope you at least consider me. But this is something that I'm going to be really, really pounding hard as I talk about this subject, because there's going to come a point when I have to make a decision. Do I keep going down this path because I have the blessing of my audience, or do I have to get the blessing of my tech gods? So I'd rather have the blessing of my audience. You know, for $5 a month, you get quite a lot. So I mean, it's not a big thing. But this is just what I'm offering you guys, for you guys that want to do it. Um, okay, Hunger Games. Yeah. Um. Oh, you talking about his comment up there, Hunger Games? Yeah, that probably would work. Mm. Sorry, guys. I have been going full throttle all day, being in meetings, and then I tried to do a recording, but I realized that there was a mistake, and so I'm having to redo the recording. Otherwise, I'd already have Wednesday's video, episode 3 up. So by Wednesday, I will have all 5 episodes up. So for $2.99 a month, you get early access to these 5 videos every week, and so therefore you can yeah, you get to see the videos and like them and all that other stuff. And so if that's something that you want to support, if you like that type of stuff, the more my membership grows for the early access, the more I get to double down on it. Talked to old time hobo. Soup line's got half a bowl of soup and 1 slice of bread. It's already like that, Craig. I mean, is it like that now, or was it like that back then? Um, because right now they've been half rationing, at least down in Florida, they've been half rationing for over a year, if they even fix their food problem, because of food inflation and stuff like that, and the fact that you've got everybody else coming in to buy up, even the low hanging fruit, just to make sure to keep their stores stocked. Um, the homeless are the ones that pay the price. And so that'll be interesting. So getting closer for sure. Yeah, I mean, they're saying that, and the reason why Trump says this 90 days thing, by the way, is that they said that they have about 7 weeks of back stock, with everything else that's coming in, that they've got about 7 weeks of back stock before we see full on empty shelves from most retailers. If you want anything that's like that, constantly needs to be replaced, like, batteries, flashlights, stuff like that, food, they've only got about 7 weeks that they've stored up in inventory waiting for this. Now they're talking about 2 weeks where we're not going to have any shipments, and so that starts the 7 week countdown. So if we've got 90 days, that means Donald Trump is counting on things getting out of control once the 7 weeks plus transport time finally reaches the East Coast, which that'll be about 11 weeks, which and what, 90 days is what, 8, 9, 12 weeks. So that's, yeah. So yeah, the military will already be prepared for civil unrest once the store shelves are empty. Donald Trump is preparing for it, and you should too. Get to the point you have to sell your soul for a bowl of rice and a glass of. Well, I'm hoping to avoid that. Just curious, why have you not been responding to the majority of my comments? Let's see here. Deer population was extinct during the Great Depression in South Carolina. I did not know that. Sorry, I don't. I've been seeing some of them, but I just didn't respond like the 2 and the 100% and stuff like that. I just didn't see that one comment. I'm not missing it on purpose. I promise, Chris. I want to get to everybody's comment and I try and read them. That's why if you put them in all caps, I usually get to them, but I kind of Beth has been really good at giving me cues. Hey, don't forget about this comment. So I try and get to them, but sometimes I miss them. Just call me out and I'll apologize. It's not on purpose. Never is. Because yeah, even though I do the whole capital rule, I still answer as many questions as I possibly can. Possums were USDA inspected during the Great Depression. Really? Wow, that's something else. Um, mm. Yeah, that's good. Chris, well, you've got my number, so if you ever wonder like if you're being censored or something like that, you can always reach out to me that way. 'Cause, once I've given you my number, unless you're an idiot, I generally generally keep contact with everybody. Some people I talk to more than others. So, but anyways, guys, we are reaching that time. It's time to wind down. I need to give my brain a rest so that I can get through the rest of this week. Plus, I got to get that recording done. I want to say thank you guys for being here. If you haven't considered a Patreon membership, come on over. Get you double raffle tickets for any membership that you get. Thanks for being here. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be tomorrow morning is going to be on Patreon. So make sure that you check on Patreon to make sure that you if you want to be there. So this is the last week. It's going to be for free members and paid members. Starting next week, it will be for paid members only. So you need to have any of the paid memberships will get you access to the morning live stream if you want to be there. Meow meow Stu. Yeah, you'll have a wonderful evening. Okay, have a good night, everyone. Okay, all right, thanks guys. See you tomorrow.